Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. A moment of silence, please, for the passing of Nikki Haley's presidential dreams. Alright, moment's over. This is no surprise to anyone at all. Nikki Haley's damn-to-fail presidential campaign was as laughable and foolish as Kamala Harris's. Now, why in the world was this woman running in the first place? Sure, she was kind of adjacent to the never-Trumpers to a certain degree, but the main reason that this woman was in the presidential race was mainly because she was running for second place. She wanted to be vice president. That's what she was actually running for. That's why she stayed in there even after she lost primary after primary. It was because she thought that if she just hung in there, sooner or later the orange man, I guess she felt out of some sense of desperation, he would feel compelled that he have to go to her and say, Nikki, what is it that you want, Nikki? What do you want? No ambassadorships this time. You want to be VP? I'll make you VP. She wanted to be on the fast track to be president, and she thought this was going to be the way to do it. She would strong-arm Trump, and it didn't work. Why is she dropping out? Because she ran out of money. That's why. Whatever remnant among the GOP donor class or part of the never-Trumpers, they had gone ahead and given her some money, but it was pretty obvious that she wasn't going to go anywhere. Her back had been politically broken. She had decided that she was going to defy the orange man, and now she had to pay the price. But then again, it couldn't have happened to a nicer scumbag. Nikki Haley made a complete fool of herself as governor of South Carolina. She was thinking to herself that she was going to be running against Barack Obama on a lot of things, but the apogee of her idiocy unquestionably was after the Mother Emanuel Church massacre. She had to be dragged kicking and screaming to the cameras before she was even willing to say that maybe something wrong had happened there. Now, for a hot minute, she pretended as if she had an issue of sorts with the Confederate flag, though she was very guarded with her language, but that play acting didn't last very long, because almost immediately before the bodies were even buried, she was going right back to saying she didn't have a problem with the Confederate flag. See, Nikki Haley had been testing the political waters all the way up until 2020, when she thought to herself that maybe, just maybe, there would be a presidential run. And this pattern has set the frame for not just Nikki Haley, the reprobate GOP governor, but also for Nikki Haley, the presidential wannabe. You see, when Nikki Haley was out there praising the Confederate flag and refusing to say that the Civil War was based on slavery, these were not just political calculations on her part. The white media always tries to water that down. Whenever somebody's taking slick shots at the black community, whenever somebody is downplaying or dismissing the racism that we have to face daily and historically, the white media always says, well, it's not so bad. Maybe they just don't know any, but you think it's probably part of a calculation. They probably didn't mean it that way. That's what they always do. But Nikki Haley, she wasn't leaving any doubt about where she stood. She was waving the flag, pun intended, for the Confederacy while she was governor of South Carolina, and she continued to do so afterwards. She didn't run for president in 2016. So why was she cheerleading for all of this Confederate stuff back then? It's because this is what she honestly believes. It's not a matter of this is just her doing some red state rhetoric. No, this woman was putting on display that this is part of the planks of her political platform. This is part of her core makeup. This is what she actually believes. Racism? Well, against black people, racism good. Confederate flag, that's just an issue of culture. What culture is that? Well, white supremacist culture, which she thinks herself a part of. Oh, she actually believed that attacking black people was going to make all those good old boy racist rubes in the red states forget that she's not white. Ann Coulter already blew her out of the water on that one, letting her know, we know you're Asian, you ain't fooling anybody. You know, it's the same con that Daniel Cameron thought that he was going to pull when he covered up the murder of Breonna Taylor. Oh, he was just so sure that that would make all of those racists in Kentucky forget that he's black. And it's the same way that DeSantis thought that being a mouth-frothing racist would make all of those good old boys down in Tallahassee forget that he's not really all that white. But now Nikki Haley sees, or perhaps not, that she wasn't fooling anyone but herself. Those good old boys, they weren't conned at all. They didn't look at her and see one of them. They looked at her and they saw a woman of color. That's what happens, though. They keep trying and failing and trying again because there's simply no cure for stupid. And speaking of stupid, CNN is asking questions like, what's next for Nikki Haley? Well, she could rule out working for Trump. She was his UN ambassador and she then turned around and ran against him. Trump don't like that kind of thing. So he's not looking to have her back in his administration, period. Even if she does some world-class butt kissing, even if she goes to Mar-a-Lago, gets on both knees and kisses the ring, That's not going to make the orange man look at her any more kindly. Like other racist GOP governors who thought that they would run against black people and ride that horse to glory, Nikki Haley will wind up like DeSantis, Mike Huckabee, Bobby Jindal, and Rick Snyder before her. She too will now go into the political wilderness, and from there, oblivion. Sure, she might pop up on some cable news station once every blue moon, but that's pretty much about it. All the race baiting, all the lies, all the praising the Confederacy, all for nothing. And speaking of nothing, we look at Donald Trump and his new BFF Elon Musk. No less than the New York Times is reporting that Donald Trump had a meeting over the weekend with Elon Musk, and the reason, of course, is because Trump's finances are in trouble. This was the main goal of all the lawsuits that the Democrats have thrown at him. The goal was to drain his campaign resources. This would cripple his campaign. They know that Trump can't afford to, and he's too cheap to pay for all of his legal defenses for himself, so he'll use his campaign war chest for that. And so the Democrats are making him put all of his money into his legal defense. Even with no GOP competitors in the field, he'll still need every penny he can get for the general election so that he can reach out to all of those casual racist, read white moderates, if he's to have any chance to win the presidency. But all of these expensive lawsuits have made that job much, much harder. And so that's why he's meeting with Elon Musk, although Musk is not saying anything about it and Trump's remaining mum. Elon Musk, it's hoped, is going to play angel investor to Trump's campaign and bail him out, but will it happen? Hard to say. Here's why. Musk, for all of his racist right-wing rhetoric, has been very careful not to actually get into backing presidential candidates financially. Sure, he endorsed right-wing nuts like moron DeSantis. Everybody remembers that catastrophic campaign launch for DeSantis on X, which crashed and burned just like his campaign did. Musk likes the idea of being a kingmaker, but he doesn't have the savvy to do it. Musk still hasn't figured out that just because he's sold a lot of Tesla cars and just because he happens to own a social media network does not mean that this automatically translates into hundreds or even tens of millions of persons worth of influence. Certainly not in the political sphere. But there's a world of difference between pulling some pathetic attention-whoring stunt like live-streaming Governor Pudding Fingers and pledging $100 million to bankroll a presidential candidate. There's political ramifications for Musk if he were to try to swoop in and save Trump's campaign, and I don't just mean from the Democrats. There are a lot of people in the never-Trumpers zone who wouldn't like that either. And there is, of course, the financial tightrope that he walks when it comes to getting his hands on government money. First of all, Elon Musk makes his money off of highly government-regulated industries, like electric cars and space rockets. No matter what asinine post that he makes on his website, he doesn't want to alienate the Republicans or the Democrats in Congress. Yes, Democrats are behind things like the Green New Deal, and they talk about more solar power and more electric-powered vehicles. But also keep in mind, people like Alexandria Cortez have admitted that she drives a Tesla and loves it. So the very people in Congress who he takes shots at and who he inflames his followers to attack and demonize, they're the ones who put money into his pockets and drive his cars. He's aware of that. Things like electric cars have been attractive to white middle-class people because of special tax breaks specifically for those vehicles. Elon Musk positioned himself to take advantage of that. And the same thing goes for his rockets that he likes to launch. He wants to corner the market for putting satellites in space. That's very lucrative and very important for governments and for corporations. Elon Musk was able to turbocharge his fortune by tapping into all of those government funds that are going into those sectors. So that being the case, please don't think that he wants to derail that particular gravy train. But he knows that just as his buddy, moron DeSantis, had written laws in Florida tailor-made to advantage Musk, he also knows that a Democratic governor or a Democrat-controlled House of Representatives could also write laws meant to punish him. But it could go either way on that one too. Musk was talking tough about buying Twitter, then his big mouth trapped him into an acquisition deal that he tried to get out of, but that failed and he wound up having to buy a website that wasn't worth nearly what he paid for it. On that purchase, he said yes, then no, and then yes again, finally. So his standoffishness with Trump does have precedent. Just because he said that he's not backing anyone right now doesn't mean he won't change his mind later. But even so, it might be worth a high-stakes gamble for Musk to decide to crawl under the sheets with the orange man. You see, Musk is still hemorrhaging cash from X. Maybe mouthing off to advertisers wasn't the smartest idea. And Trump had been the biggest thing to happen to that platform. He had tried to woo Trump back after he bought Twitter, but the orange man's pride wouldn't let him accept Musk's offer. Musk wants to make X, the everything app. He wants it to be Facebook, YouTube, and a bunch of other things all rolled into one. Now, in practical terms, it can't be everything, and under Musk's leadership, it's on its way to being nothing at all. But that doesn't change that he wants it to be the everything app, And if by some unholy miracle he's actually able to pull it off, it would be a hell of a coup. But part of that is trying to get attention onto the platform. Now, is getting financially into bed with the Trump campaign the best way to make that happen? Probably not. After all, Trump has shown that he wasn't able to make Truth Social into any sort of social media titan. But from Elon Musk's point of view, it's not like he's got a whole bunch of other options open to him. So it remains to be seen how this is going to shake out. I guess that depends on whether or not Elon Musk suddenly decides that X is going to be the single most important of his holdings. I would love to say that he's made dumber decisions before, but the truth is, he hasn't. Though I will say this. If Elon Musk actually does decide to pull some stunts, such as, say, putting $100 million behind Trump's campaign, that would constitute the single biggest sea change in the history of electoral politics. To have one of these ultra-mega billionaires who literally is able to bankroll a candidate all on their own, that would be a seismic shift for politics not just in the US but worldwide. And if that were to happen, well, you can forget everything that you thought you knew about presidential campaigns up until this point. Not only would Donald Trump be utterly beholden to Elon Musk, but also the never-Trumpers and everybody else, they would find that whatever they thought about Trump crushing them in 2015, they ain't seen nothing yet. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Mark Anderson, Plasticizer, O&ME Family, Yamuka H., and Jesse Good. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.